Hello everyone, if you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be a buzzword themed reading vlog where I am going to complete this year's buzzword challenge by reading Ring Shout by P. Jolly Clark. Now this is a very short book. There are only 181 pages. So this is a tiny one, but this is going to complete the prompt of a sound related word, shout being that sound related word. And once I have finished reading this, I am actually going to recap all of my buzzword picks for 2023 and let you know what I read for each prompt. And then I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to favorite just to kind of wrap this challenge up. I did not do any kind of wrap up for buzzword last year, but I thought it might be fun to do that for this year and to include that in this vlog. So that's what you're going to see later on, but this is what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to read half of it today because I am currently trying to finish up another book. So I want to finish that one as well. So I'm going to do half of this today, half of it tomorrow, and then wrap up the buzzword-a-thon and let you know what I read this year, because this will be the second year in a row where I completed the buzzword challenge, which is very exciting. So this is what we're going to be reading. I'm excited. I've heard good things about it, and I'm just curious to see how it's going to go. I think it's like a horror, like a historical horror type thing, but it's also like maybe alternative reality. I don't really know. So this is what we're going to read. I will come back and give you a reading update once I have gotten halfway through it and let you know how it's going. And hopefully it will be a 5-star, because I have not had very many 5 stars the past few months. So yes, once I have an update, I will come chat with you. Hello all, happy Sunday. I just got done watching a little bit of YouTube. I ran some errands this morning. As you saw, I went to Target, picked up some things that I need for this week's STEM activity, and then just some general stuff that I had run out of. And while I was there, I was listening to an audiobook, but now it is time to get back into Ring Shout. I did get halfway through this yesterday, so I'm currently on chapter 5, so I have this much left. I'm going to actually do the audiobook for the second half of this because there are some pronunciations and things in here that I feel like I'm not pronouncing correctly, and I feel like the audio will give me like a more authentic reading experience. There is a language in here called Gullah, G-U-L-L-A-H, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but it is like an actual historical dialect, but it's difficult to read, and I feel like I'm not getting like the pronunciations right. So I'm going to give the audio a go and see if that one works a little bit better in terms of helping me pronounce some of the terms and the words. But basically we are following Maurice. She is how should I put this? A resistance fighter. There we go. I just got the word out of the book. She's a resistance fighter, and her and a few other people are working to fight against demons. They call the demons the Ku Kluxes, and then you have like the humans that are who they refer to as the clans, to like distinguish the difference between like the demons and the humans. But basically this is set in like 1920 something. I can't really remember. Let me see if it says it. It doesn't say it like straight off, but I feel like it was like 1920 something. There's a reference to The Birth of a Nation, which if you know anything about that movie, it's like horrendous, but it was released in 1915. So there is a reference to that in here, and I feel like it's the 1920s because there is a reference to World War I. And this is taking place like a few years after that ended. So I'm thinking 1920s. Prohibition is going on, so that's kind of where I'm getting that from, but I feel like the book did actually say something about 1920 something. But anyway, so we're following Maurice as she and these other two girls work to fight against the demons, and there is some big plan afoot regarding like a takeover of the world, and they are working to try to prevent that from happening. So that's basically what's happened in the first part of the book. It is a historical fantasy with some horror elements. So I was right when I said like historical horror, but it's definitely fantastical in the sense that you have these demons and things like that. So I guess a paranormal type fantasy. But yes, I'm curious to see how this is going to end. We are at like a climax of the story. There's been like a big thing that's happened like right as I stopped reading. And I feel like that's definitely going to kind of bring the story over the hump and down towards its conclusion. So I will come back and chat with you once I have this finished. And then I'm going to go ahead and take you through all of my Buzzword books for 2023. So I will see you with an update on this, and then we'll get to ranking. Hello everyone, it's going on 4:30 and I did finish Ring Shout. I would highly recommend the audio if you are going to read this. I just feel like it really helped engage me even more in the story. It helped with the pronunciations of the Gullah dialect that I was having a little bit of trouble reading. And I just really thought it was extremely well done. So I would highly recommend that. I wish I'd done the whole book that way, but I was reading it physically and listening at the same time, and that was great. So would recommend that. I am giving this 5 stars. I really liked this. This is extremely well written. This is like genre bending. So you have historical fantasy with horror elements, and I just thought it was exceptionally well done. It's kind of the first book that I can think of that I've read that's like blends multiple genres together, and it worked really well for the setup of this book. Very action-packed from like the very first minute. There is some like emotional stuff going on with the main character Maurice. There was a part towards the end that made me tear up, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this. So I'm giving this 5 stars. So that wraps up the reading of my December pick. Now, what I did is I took all of the Buzzword books that I read for 2023, and I'm going to go through them, let you know what I read and for what prompt, and then I'm going to kind of do like a ratings based on last year and this year, kind of total up how many 3 stars, 4 stars, etc. I have had, just to kind of give you an overview of how the Buzzword Challenge has worked out for me. And then I'm going to go through my ratings from my least favorite to favorite for 2023. So that's what we're going to do. I did type it up on my computer, so I am going to be reading it. I went through and just looked at my Goodreads lists because I did put the Buzzword books in their own like shelf on Goodreads. So anyway, let's recap 2023. So in January, the pick was the words life or death in the title. And for that, I read Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. For February, the buzzword was verbs in the title. So for that, I read In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And I did vlog that one. I'll link it up above. For March, the word was secret, so I chose The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. For April, the word was emotions, so I chose The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. For May, the buzzword was like flavors or seasonings or herbs, something along those lines, so I chose House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. For June, the buzzword was other, so this was like the perfect opportunity to read a short story collection, so I chose The Poison Eaters and Other Stories by Holly Black. I did vlog this, but it took me a stupidly long time to finish that book, so it was like a couple of vlogs that I did in June, so I'm not going to link those, but you can go look at them if you're curious. For July, it was a weather-related word, so for that I read Invisible Storm by Jason Kander. For August, it was body parts, so I read Barbed Wire Heart by Tess Sharp. For September, it was a game-related word, and for that I chose Strands of Bronze and Gold by Jane Nickerson, thinking that bronze and gold are medals you can win in the Olympic Games. That was my thinking. October, the word was magic. I wanted an actual book that had magic in the title, so I chose The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales, and Dangerous Magic by Leigh Bardugo. For November, the word was good, so I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And for December, as I already mentioned, it was a sound-related word, so I did choose Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. Now I'm going to go ahead and rank them from my least favorite to favorite, because this is where I'm going to give you my ratings for each of the books I just mentioned, and then I'm going to total up the ratings from 2022 and 2023. So, coming in at number 12, my least favorite buzzword pick of 2023 was The Poison Eaters and Other Stories by Holly Black. I just felt like this was a very mediocre short story collection and I didn't have the best time reading it. So I did give this one 3 stars. At number 11 is Barbed Wire Heart by Tess Sharp, which I also gave 3 stars. I felt like this one was just too slowly paced. I didn't like the main character. I vlogged this one as well, so I'll link it up above if you want to see full thoughts, but this was not my favorite. At number 10 is Strands of Bronze and Gold by Jane Nickerson, which I gave 3.5 stars. At number 9 was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which I also gave 3.5 stars. And then we have a string of 4 stars. So these were kind of difficult for me to rank, but I feel pretty good about where I've put them. So at number 8, I have Deathless by Catherine M. Valente, which was 4 stars. At 7, I have The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, also 4 stars. At number 6 was In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, 4 stars. At 5 was House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig, also 4 stars. And at number 4 was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which again was 4 stars, but was my favorite of all the 4 stars that I read. Then I have 3 5 stars to finish out the year, so it's not terrible. At number 3, I have Invisible Storm by Jason Kander. At number 2, I'm putting Ring Shout. And then at number 1, my favorite book of the buzzword picks, and one of my favorite books of the year, is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about overall ratings. Now, first of all, I did have 1 DNF from 2022. I did not DNF anything, as you just saw, for 2023, so there is 1 DNF that's like floating around in these ratings. I don't rate my DNFs, so it just has no rating. But we'll go ahead and start with the 3 stars. I've been lucky. I actually have not had any 2 stars for the Buzzword Challenge so far. But I did have some 3 stars. So I had 2 from 2023, 1 from 2022 for a total of 3 stars. I also had 2 3.5 stars from 2023 and 1 3.5 star from 2022 for a total of 3 3.5 stars. And the bulk of the books are definitely 4 stars. So I had 5 4-star reads from this year, 2023, whereas I had 6 4 stars from 2022, which gives me a total of 11 4 stars. And then I had the same number of 5 stars this year as last year. So I had 3 in 2023 and 3 in 2022 for a total of 6 5-star reads, which isn't terrible. But again, I would love to have more 5 stars. I feel like this year I started out giving a pretty good amount of 5 stars, but in the latter half of the year, I really have not had very many 5 stars. So it was nice that I did get one out of Ring Shout, because that's definitely something that has not been going so great. Although I have been reading very enjoyable books, I've not managed to have very many 5 stars. So it is interesting to see that I've had 6 total from the Buzzword Challenge. And that kind of wraps up this video. That wraps up my buzzword reading for 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. I will be doing the Buzzword Challenge again next year. Kayla has already said she's going to be putting out a video pretty soon with the new prompts, and I'm excited to see what on my physical TBR I might be able to fit into those prompts, because I'm really going to make an effort to read some physical TBR books next year. So we'll cross our fingers that some of them work. But anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, everyone.